All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Hook the Line. We're doing bracketology again. We started this last Thursday with our first episodes, just talking through our 1 through 4 seeds. We're now going to switch them up a little bit. We've been through another week. We've had another big Tuesday, another big Saturday, some big upsets around the country. I know we had a couple last night, even. But yeah, some big upsets, some big movers. I don't know if you guys have any surprises. I'm excited to hear what y'all have in yours. So we'll read these out. And I mean, you guys know the deal. So let's just jump right into it, honestly.
Yeah, as always, we got a guest. Actually, not as always, kind of a new thing for basketball. Actually, you've been on for basketball, haven't you?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was on
yeah,
the Purdue versus Texas Tech preview.
right. Okay, so I mean, I'm sure everybody might recognize you if we have any reoccurring watchers, but um,
If you haven't, just look above his head.
yeah, that our boy Spike.
Spike
But Spike,
Spike
since you're
Pump's coming out soon, guys. Stay tuned.
oh, that's right. Well, what is Spike Palm? You can't just say that and then just
Yeah.
let it.
It's like Ken Palm better, but made by Spike too.
Okay,
No,
okay. What
There you
does that
go.
entail
Quotes.
exactly?
just like Ken Palm, but Spike Palm.
It's just a model.
Yeah, it's just a model, another analytical model. Working on it a little
All
bit.
right, in the
We just got to
works.
find some data sets that we can use. But after that, we're gonna get in full fledged. So
All right, all
all
right.
right.
Well,
We're excited to hear.
using your spike palm abilities, let's hear where your head's at.
So my first four seed, well, technically the 16th seed in the tournament, which are the 16th
Okay.
best team. I got BYU. Right
Uh,
now they're 17 and 14. Four quad one wins. I mean, because that's what's something that's big. What the committee looks at is how many quad one wins, who you played. They almost beat Arizona, handed them the first loss earlier last week. Missed on a last second layup that got blocked by Arizona. Um, but my one thing that I wouldn't put them higher is that I feel that Debanza kind of carries his team, and there's not really any more like offense without Debanza. So God forbid something happens to Debanza, this team is kind of SOL. I feel like so. My next one is Florida, especially after the past few days, like where they went to South Carolina and absolutely mashed them, and they hosted Alabama at their place and beat them by 20 to 30, I think it was. They're kind of finding the rhythm now in the SEC, and they're going to be a scary team coming March. They are still a defending national championship champions, and they still got a bunch of players returning from that team. And they also got the 6-1 record in quad two, and they aren't the same team with like missing some of their players, but I still think that they can make a deep run. Not saying that they're going to make the Final Four. I think they'll be a Sweet 16 Elite Eight team. So my next um, a four seed is UNC. I feel like the
mm,
Tar Heels are kind of finding their feet right now. They got a big game against Duke, which will kind of say a lot about their season, about their team. Because the ACC isn't again the best, isn't by far a good conference in my opinion. They're very top heavy with Duke and Virginia. Um, but like they're right now 4-3 in quad one wins, so they've been a little spotty playing against good teams, the top caliber teams. But I think they can put it all together, and especially with a win against Duke this weekend, they'll get some confidence going into the postseason in March. And then for my last team as a four seed, I'm putting the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Right now they're 6-15. They do have great wins, but they only have four quad one wins, so that's kind of something. And they kind of got. I don't know whether you can blame the loss against Kansas because they were missing one of their best players, but that I feel like that's some type of game that you can't lose at home, especially when you want to start kind of saying that you're going to argue and compete for a national championship. But then again, this Texas Tech team has had years where they've been counting out and they went to the Final Four. So yeah.
Interesting there. I mean, I with Texas Tech, the back-to-back losses, they're still sneaking in there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they got a big win against Duke. I mean, which is one of the top four team in the country. I mean, they didn't play a great game in the first half. Besides that, but the second half, they kind of dominate that whole thing. And then again, they did get crushed by Purdue, but I don't think that was their best day. I don't think that their losses are evident of what that team is. And again, that Kansas game, they're missing one of their best players. And I feel like that was a big reason why. And JT Toppin had a terrible first half. Kansas could have been up by at least 15 at halftime if other because Kansas wasn't playing well, but neither was Texas Tech. And Texas Tech, I felt, was showing more that they were playing worse.
It's fair, very fair. And then UNC sneaks in there. First time we've heard them on the podcast. Probably won't be the last though. They are playing good basketball. All right. Well, you go and we'll flip it over to you and hear your four seeds.
Yeah, so actually, I did mine a different way, and I'm gonna actually go last because
Fantastic.
it'll be a little bit different, but it'll make more sense if I do it all at once at the very end. So flipping it back your way, but
Wait, so you're gonna do all of the 16 teams?
you'll understand when I get there. I promise. I promise. I
Okay,
promise.
good. I won't ask too many questions. All right.
Yeah, I want your opinion when it happens. So
Got it.
you walk through yours, and we'll get to it.
All right, I'll go pretty quick because this being the second time running through, we've talked about a lot of these teams, but I do have some new ones in there. New entering the field is my last team in. I'm going to put Tennessee in there. I think they're similar to kind of UNC and Florida as well. One of those teams that's shown that they can be good over the years, and it feels like they're kind of hitting a little bit of their stride. And we talked about them being so good at offensive rebounding. I think that'll come in clutch throughout the season and against some of these SEC teams. So I just think they're going to perform really well. SEC also, we'll have a conversation at some point, just feels very weird and wide open and like anybody can beat anybody. So if somebody takes charge of that, Tennessee very well could be that team. We're going to see. So they sneak in for me, a good week for them there. Gonzaga is my fourth team, my second, fourth seed. They drop all the way from I had them as my number 2, 3 seeds. Now they're my number 3, 4 seed. That Portland loss, I hate it. I think that was really bad from Gonzaga. Also, like you escape St. Mary's, who's your kryptonite. Good job. Then you just drop the next game. So I maybe there's some correlation there. Come on, Zags, honestly. But is what it is there. They'll bounce back. They'll be good. We'll see them in March. We talk about it. So this is probably a temporary slide to 4. They'll probably be back up at some point. Then I've got Michigan State. Um, yeah, the wheels kind of fell off the bus there against Michigan. Felt like everything was turning. I thought they might have a shot. Fell off the bus again. Who'd they lose to? Was it Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Yeah, this last game, Jeremy Fears, we're going to figure out some issues with him. Grayson Allen 2.0 looks like kicking people in the nuts. Can't be having that. That no place for that. So I've dropped them down partially because of their performance, partially because they got to get their act together. And then finally, last 4 seed, or I guess the top 4 seed for me, I do have UNC. So I'm agreeing with you there, Spike. I think UNC is one of those dangerous teams. Caleb Wilson is one of those guys that can just turn up in the tournament. One of those I hope he does. That would be really exciting. And like you said, big game against Duke. So I guess I'm banking a little bit that they do well in that game.
All right, back to you, Spike. Let me hear those 3 seeds. But it's interesting that both of you have UNC and the 4 because pretty sure Lenardi has them at 6. So just a little bit of extra confidence from you guys.
Where does he
Yeah,
have
he doesn't.
Clemson? I'm curious. Where does he have Clemson?
I think he also has them as a 6. Yes, as a 6 as well.
Because Clemson is like just being slept on. I'm also sleeping on them, but like they're in there as well. I just for some reason can't include them. But
Yeah, they're a weird one too. Both of those teams are weird. But I'm not going to talk about UNC, so I find it interesting that both of you are high on them. But it makes sense because I mean, Caleb Wilson's a beast. Vsar is pretty good. Trimble, the CSU transfer, I forget his name, but he's good too. Yeah, Spike, let's hear these 3 seeds. Let's keep it going.
Starting off with my 3 seeds, I got Michigan State coming in. Kind of what Harrison said. They kind of wheels fell off a little bit, but Izzo's a great coach. I feel like further down the season, I think they got through their hard spot in the Big Ten schedule. I think they have Michigan one more time, if I'm not mistaken. And they also got Purdue, which are 2 bumps in the road, but
They also have Illinois this weekend.
Oh, yeah, that's true. My bad. Yeah, they got Illinois tomorrow. I forgot about that. But I feel like this team is definitely a good team as long as they're clicking together. Yesterday was a terrible performance out of the team. The first half was quite literally the worst defensive performance I think I've seen from Michigan State in a while. My next team is my one and only Purdue Boilermakers. Um, I feel like this team kind of went on a little slide. Lost to UCLA, lost to lost to Illinois at home, and lost to Indiana, and then went into College State, College Park in Maryland, and beat the brakes off of them. I think Fletcher is getting out of his slump, hopefully.
Hope.
And I don't think that, and I think with Fletcher finally clicking, that this team is kind of getting back to their old identity, which you saw them when they played against Texas Tech and earlier in the season, and hopefully that they figure it out and keep rising. My next one is Kansas. I mean, I think that this team, hands down, has the best player in the whole entire country. I feel like if Darren Peterson played from the beginning of the season, he would be the National Player of the Year, hands down. But unfortunately, he's been dealing with injuries and minutes restrictions. And that game against Texas Tech, he proved that he can hit big time shots, and that's something big that you need, especially in tournament play with the Big 12 championship coming up, and as well as March Madness. You want a player who can hit the shots like that. And then my last team for my 4 seed is Nebraska. Um, I put Nebraska as a 3 seed, but I honestly think come March that this team might not even be in the top four. I don't know why, but I think that this team, yes, they did beat the Michigan States, but they've been proven that they really can't beat the big dogs in the Big Ten. They're kind of like the little brother. Um, they got a game against Purdue coming up. I think that's next week on Tuesday. So that will show more about Nebraska. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about them.
Wow.
Yeah, Cornhuskers take a slide all the way down. So then I'm assuming you want me to do my 3 seeds now. Is this what you're?
Correct.
I'm getting in the groove here. I got it. All right, starting off 3 seeds. I'm gonna go Texas Tech. I think similar to who's the other team you pointed out that has one man show spike that you put in your force or BYU, right?
BYU.
This feels similar. Christian Anderson's very good, but when it comes down to it, Toppin is the make or break guy, and if he has halves like he did, then they're gonna lose. If he has halves where he's a hero, they're probably gonna win. That's a tough team to trust in a really really hard conference. Then I've got Vandy, or no, I don't have Vandy. I got Florida. Florida's my next team there. You got to put Florida in there. Their three, that front court is going to win them games on their own. It's just going to be when they play big dogs, can the backcourt, carry them enough to win? So Florida's always going to be in the conversation in a lot of these. But when you get to the 2 seeds, the 1 seeds, it's can they beat those guys? Um, and so we're gonna see with Florida. Xavier Lee's really got to step up, in my opinion. I said this last episode too, so I'm still waiting for him to turn it on. Then I've got as my number 2, 3 seed the Purdue Boilermakers. So sticking with that there in the three, I've moved them up 2 spots just because of them beating Maryland. I was looking for any excuse to move them up, so I've done it, even though it might not make sense. And then my final one is going to be Kansas. So Spike and I actually have a very similar 3 seed line here with this. Yeah, it's so Texas Tech, and then yeah, that's what I have. And then Kansas, Peterson, like you said, best player in the country. I mean, if you have a guy like that where at the end of the game you can just be like, here, take the ball and score, and he does it so effortlessly. Like that's the guys that win in March when you're down, when it's 64-64, 20 seconds left, and shot clock's off. Here you go, Darren Peterson, go score and win the game. He's
Yeah.
gonna do it. Like doesn't matter how many minutes he has. All Kansas needs is to be in that position. So
Dude, the end of the game that he had against Tech was unreal. Like just the 2 shots that he had at the end were just total, ice in the vein type moments. Dude, Tech
That's
really struggled to guard against him. Like regardless of the action, like whether he was on the ball, off the ball, like they were finding ways to get it to him, and they could not stop it. Not to mention his partner Flory. If say they do like double Peterson in a weird action, then he can just swing down to Flory. So
yeah.
that's a tough team. But yeah, keep going. So like 2 seeds.
my 2 seed starting off Gonzaga. This is a little bit more of like the idea of when it comes down to March. Fortunately for Gonzaga, they play in the West Coast Conference, where you're not really going to have too many hard teams week in week out. You really only the only tournament teams is probably St. Mary's, and then and I think that they'll continue to win. They'll probably win their conference, win out for the rest of the season, and that will kind of make it so that their blemish last night isn't as visible as it is. So by the time it comes down for the selection committee to come and make their decision, I think they'll be fine. They also got 5 quad 1 wins, so they can prove that they can hang with the big boys. And it's kind of hard to bet against Mark Few too, because he is just one of the better coaches in college basketball, in my opinion.
Mhm.
But yeah, next one's Houston. I mean, that team is just a defensively sound team. Calvin Sampson reached his 11th straight 21 season, which is a great accomplishment in college basketball. Says a lot about him as a coach. Recently they actually dismantled. I don't know whether you guys saw the UCF game where they just destroyed them, which it just proves that this team is a lot better than other teams. They've won 17 straight at home. I feel like this team. Then again, they do play in the Big 12. So later in the season, when they play the Iowa States, the Arizonas, the BYU's, the Techs, that's when I think it's gonna shuffle up more. But as of right now, I think Houston is better than Texas Tech and BYU, but hasn't proven to me Iowa State yet. And then next I got Iowa State. Just talking about them. Again, another very defensively good team. Top 10 in defensive rating. Uh, they got a big win at home against Purdue, which is going to help them in their resume. Aside from like the few stumbles in the road that 1 week, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where they dropped two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, the team has been playing great after that. And I think that all these teams and that we got to understand that all these college basketball teams are going to have their hiccups where they're going to run into a wall a little bit. And you really can't you can't overlook them. No, that's not what I meant. Sorry, you can't over examine them as bad losses. I think you just got to understand that these teams are going to eventually lose games and they're human too. And then my last second seed is Illinois. I mean, um, everyone probably thought that after Boswell was down that this team was going to take a little step back, but I feel like they quite literally did the opposite and they took a step forward with Keaton Wagler because he's just been proving himself. Dropping 40 against Purdue. I think he dropped 19 against Nebraska the other day.
Yeah,
Kind of
he had a pretty good second half. Sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off.
he had a shaky first half, but kind of stepped up and then proved that why he can do it. Yeah,
That's it. I
yeah,
agree with that. That's a good four right there. Um, Illinois is insane. I'm really excited to see both Iowa State and Houston kind of play Arizona, play each other. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that'll be a really good test to see how the seeds end up shaking up at the very end. And it's good to see. I mean, good conference play. I'm sure those arenas will be packing. So, yeah, bounce it over to Harry with his 4-2s.
Yeah, so my 4-2 is Nebraska, and this is more just out of like I like can't drop them. So I don't want to overreact to like 2 game stretches. And I put them as my fourth 1 seed the last time, which now is like making me look really stupid, and I don't like them to do that. So I'm not gonna drop them like all the way 2 seeds down, but I've dropped them a full, what is that, like 4 spots down, to the bottom of the 2 seed column. I'll keep them there because I do have belief in them that they're a good team. They're 20-2. I think they've shown they can win, but they're streaky. You don't know if they're gonna show up on a given night. So I've got Nebraska there as my last 2 seed. And then I've got Iowa State after that. I think Iowa State just solid team. They're always going to be in the mix. Really, really like their brand of basketball. Then I've got Illinois as my second 2 seed. Illinois is really good. They've got a tough schedule, and I think that they're going to drop one eventually. They've gotten by with some big games, but I think somebody's going to get them here soon. And then it's going to be, how do they react with that? How does Keaton Vogler react to not playing well? It's just a freshman thing. Like they're going to hit moments where there's a rock in the road and they're struggling there. Um, and then my last 2 seed is going to be UConn. Dan Hurley and the Huskies. They're rolling right now. I think there was a stretch like a month ago where they were kind of escaping by Big East games that maybe they should have been dominating. Now it feels like they're starting to dominate. They're starting to be a well-oiled machine. And it's scary when you're not hearing UConn's name in the news that often because, like they're just taking care of business. That's essentially what they're doing. They're not getting upset. They're not dropping games that they shouldn't. They're just walking in there. They're covering spreads and they're getting it done.
Yeah, I like that. So does that mean who do you have in that one spot? Is it
Yeah, I can just
Houston?
roll it into one since I mean, there's only four left. So, um, actually, my fourth one seed is Duke, and this is a little bit of a prediction as well as a placement. I am going to go on a limb and say that they will lose to North Carolina this weekend when they play.
That Cameron?
Is it at Cameron? I thought it was at UNC. I don't actually know.
At Cameron. Yeah, it's at
Yeah,
Cameron.
screw it. Fuck it. I hate Duke. We're fine with that. So they'll be the one seed. They're probably going to win. I'm probably an idiot, but anyways, I'm putting them at the bottom of the one seed. I think we talked a little bit about Duke and how they can be got here and there, but they are deserving of a one seed. They're going to be very good. I just think the teams above them have proven themselves to another level, and maybe that's the conferences that they're in, the competition they're playing. So I've got Houston in the Big 12 getting those kind of victories. I think has put them above Duke. Duke is just not playing like the same level of competition night in night out that these three teams above them are. So I've got Houston. I love Kelvin Sampson. I actually think that he's going to have a really good year, especially after last year. I think he can do everything in his power to get back to a national championship. And then I've got Michigan, who I had as my last or my top two seed last week. I've moved them all the way to my second one seed. Yeah, I mean, I still think that I have my thoughts about Yaxel, but Michigan is just really, really good at basketball, unfortunately. And they're really large. So last number one team in the country, undefeated Arizona. Can't really move them anywhere else. So
I also would like to update the call. The game is being played in Raleigh or wherever they are. North Carolina is hosting, not Duke. So it is
No.
not
come
that
on,
hot of a take.
come
It
on,
is
you got
not
a
that
shot.
hot of a take
You got a shot.
from Harry. I feel like Duke is destined to lose at least one conference game, right? Like, hey, they could pull off like pretty unprecedented, undefeated conference run. But if they were to lose a game or two, it's probably one like this. They got Pitt coming up, Clemson, Syracuse, Notre Dame, Virginia. They do play a weird neutral site Michigan game, which is kind of cool. I'm sure we'll talk about that when it
Yeah, I'm
comes.
seeing that duel in the
But
district. Interesting.
yeah, that's a respectable top four. Can't really argue with much there. But Spike, what do you think?
My bad on that UNC shit. I saw something on online that these Duke people are camping out outside of Cameron Indoor, and I was kind of thinking that
They're probably
these
camping for tickets, maybe.
yeah, they're camping for tickets, but I
Okay.
was thinking about it like this game's got to be pretty soon if you're gonna set up shop, but it's actually the game's not for another month now, actually. So these guys have a long winter ahead of them, especially with that
Maybe they're
snow down.
just maybe they're just camping. Did you like think maybe they're just chilling?
Maybe
Yeah.
they are, you know.
No.
But my fourth one seed is Michigan. Uh, I think this because of more of like again the speculation that Michigan's still's got a decent part of their schedule left. They got UCLA. They still got Purdue on their schedule at Mackey. They play that random game that Ryan just mentioned against Duke.
That's a sick
They
game, by the
also
way. But
they also have Illinois at Illinois too, and then against Iowa and Michigan State. So by no means is Michigan out of the clear. I feel like in the Big Ten because the Big Ten then again any team can go and beat you.
mhm.
So I wouldn't say that this is more like a speculation that I think they're going to drop one or two of these games coming up. Um, so that's why I dropped them down to the four seed, or well, yeah, to the four seed. My three seed is UConn. I mean, Dan Hurley just knows how to win. There's no other better way to describe it. And then you also got Caravan, two-time national championship leading that team, and with support from Solo Ball and Silas Demery. I think that team destroyed. I forget I think it was Georgetown or
Which
Probably.
when
this week.
Xavier.
Xavier, yeah. I knew it was a blue team, that little navy blue color, but I couldn't
Yeah,
remember.
it
A
was
lot
not
of the teams
close.
in that conference look very similar.
Yeah, but then again, too, I don't see also UConn losing any more games this season because I don't the next closest or the next team I feel like that can give us some trouble is St. John's or Villanova, and Villanova had the chance to beat them, but couldn't figure it out towards the end of to the end of the game.
I actually played tomorrow,
Um,
St. John's and UConn at St.
oh,
John's.
St. John's, UConn, there you go. Well, that would say
So
something right
you're
there.
coming on and you're saying that UConn wins that game tomorrow?
I think UConn wins out. Honestly, I think UConn
Wins
wins the
out.
Big East,
Oh,
wins out.
is that a thing? What are the odds on that? I need to.
Back it, fact check it, bring it to the bank, Harry. Bring it to the bank.
I
Okay,
love it.
we have a bet.
I will.
Duke, of course, the number 2 seed. I don't know what more needs to be said about them. They currently have probably going to be the national champion of the year, national player of the year. My
Oh,
bad, my bad,
whoa, whoa,
my
whoa.
bad. Yeah, they got
Okay.
what is going to be the national player of the year. I mean, Cam Hooser is just an absolute animal, and
Okay.
Duke always just has a good supporting cast no matter what. Duke's always going to be in the conversation. John Schneider, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
For some reason, I thought Dan Schneider, but that's the guy who touches kids. But
The Nickelodeon guy?
yeah,
Oh,
I don't know why.
Keep going. Keep going.
I got it.
Their only really bad loss is Tech at Michigan State, where they brought a 10-point lead into half and kind of just played a shit second half. But I think that again can be overlooked. I feel like they'll have maybe one or two losses throughout the whole entire season, but they will definitely, in my opinion, be a 1 seed.
Does one come
And
this
then,
weekend? One of those losses?
you know what? Yeah, that one comes this weekend too. I'm riding with you, Harry. Let's go.
Wow, we have a squad ride.
UConn to win out
Let's
and
go.
UNC money line.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are the odds on that parlay right there?
Oh, you got to let us know your pick when you go up. So, you know.
And then
Oh, for this Duke UNC game?
No, just the squad ride. Spike has UConn to win out. I got UNC to win a game, and then, you know.
Okay. Okay. All
and
right.
then
Cool. Sorry,
and then
Spike.
my last one is Arizona. I mean, there's not much to be said about this team. But yeah.
Yeah, no weaknesses really there. We've talked about that. I mean, the fact that they haven't lost is honestly ridiculous. I'm sure they're coming with the Big 12 schedule, but a few hot takes from you, Spike. I kind of like it. I respect it out of the guests for sure.
I love it. Be bold.
But now,
See the way we do this.
we have me, and this is because the way I did this is because when I fielded my top four, I looked at other people's predictions like CBS, Lenardi, and they're pretty similar. So I'm not going to come on here and regurgitate what they say. That just makes me look like an absolute clown. It's not why we do this. So I have a few tiers I want to run through, and you guys can either be like, "Dude, what are you saying?" or, you know, give me your opinion back. So the first tier of teams, I have 7 teams that I have deemed as second weekend locks. So for the viewers at home, that just means that they're, in my eyes, at least going to make it to the Sweet 16, right? Take care of round 1 and kind of skate through it. So, like some of the teams that have just been mentioned, I got Arizona, Michigan, UConn, Duke, Iowa State, Illinois, and Houston. Now, a lot of those teams have really just shown me not a ton of weaknesses, especially at those top 4. Like if I were to do 1 seeds, it would probably be the same as Lenardi, Arizona, Michigan, UConn, and Duke. Those teams really just haven't shown a ton of weakness to me. Michigan had a tight loss, things like that. So it's hard for me to not see them beating, either a 16 seed or a 9 or an 8 seed. Really, I think that's just favorable matchups there. And then the 3 other teams, Iowa State, I think is just really just a complete team on both sides of the floor. Like they have their big 3 in Lipsy, Jefferson, Momcilovic. I've talked about them before. I just think that that's a really good 3 to have, along with the March experience that they have. Illinois, say no more, fam. Wagler, the bigs. That might be the best offense in the country. I've said it. So I really just think that a smaller mid-major team or a lower Power 5 team might have some struggle keeping up with them offensively. And the last one I kind of had was Houston, and that's probably the weakest one out of the bunch. But I think that whenever Samson has a top 3-ish seed, well, now we'll say they get that, they usually advance to the Sweet 16, and then we see how they play out against some of the top teams, right? So, yeah, those are my second weekend locks. You got any feedback there, fellas? Anything
Yeah,
you
off the rip, I got one. Where is Purdue?
Bro,
Purdue is in
what?
my next tier.
Harry,
Yeah, where are
I'm
they?
sorry, bro. Okay,
Oh,
I'm sorry, Harry.
I
As a big Purdue fan,
second weekend.
I will never call us a second weekend lock,
You guys
bro.
are oh,
I
I thought that was going the other way.
With our history, I would never call us a
I think with
second
our
weekend
recent
lock.
history, you can call it that.
I thought that was going the other way.
No, I'm sorry. Like,
You're just
I
being a
never
realist.
trust this team with that first round because what we had, who was it? Fucking
We're
fucking
going through
S
the
F
list.
F
No,
the F,
no,
F
no,
oh
no,
my
no. St. Peter's. That we know. The three of us
FDU
know.
St.
The
Peter's,
public
North
knows.
Texas. Like, come on, like
Okay, but
that
let's say
team
we're a
has.
three seed. Like, let's say we're a three seed. We're putting it in that realm. I don't know where if you would have three or four here, Yusco, but like we're probably winning round
We're
one if we're a three seed.
Bro, we were
correct.
low key like
Correct.
worried about like High Point last year too.
No, okay. We
I mean, Yusco.
everybody was. Everybody was. Everybody was. It's the nature of a Purdue fan. And what Harry's bringing up is I took High Point in our friend group bracket just in case it happened, and therefore you buy yourself one free point in the bracket. That's the reasoning. I'm just going to say it. And this, I'm just going to piggyback this into the next tier because fair point, and it makes a lot of sense. This next tier is what I have as should be second weekend teams, and
Okay.
the only reason I say that is because
We
they've
the only
shown
team in that?
flaws. Huh?
Are we going to be the only team in that?
No.
Auburn's not gonna be in
Relax,
it either, Harry. Don't worry.
relax. Should be second weekend teams. Should be in the Sweet 16. Shown a little bit of a couple flaws here and there, right? And I'll talk about what I've seen that make them a little bit flawed, in my opinion, and I'm not ready to put them in that other category. Okay. First one is the Purdue Boilermakers. Okay. Obviously, I want them to be in the second weekend, and I do see them getting there, right? I think that if we do have a top 3 or 4 seed, like Harry said, we could get there, right? That works in our favor, right? The only questions I really have to really put them in this category is one, the defense, right? I feel like that's the main weak point of Purdue, right? We don't really struggle a ton scoring here and there. It's only if we let teams, get out in transition on offense and then beat us down the court and get easy buckets, right? That's kind of how we lose, right? Illinois shot the lights out of the ball, but UCLA and Indiana kind of really dominated us from 2 and just like showed a little bit of the weakness in the paint. I mean, Jacobson needs to stop playing, right? And that's another thing that comes tournament time. Like, we probably won't see that much of Jacobson in March, and I think that works in nothing but our favor. So they should be a second round team or a second weekend team, and I'm sure as the weeks go on, I will move them up. But continuing the list, kind of rattling these off. Next 2, Florida and Michigan State, definitely should see them in the second weekend. Only reasons I have them questioning them is kind of the 3-point conversation. I just don't see them being the strengths of their game, and I feel like they're kind of leaning into it a little bit more than they should be, right? I think if those teams offensively worked it into their bigs almost every possession, like I think they could play a lot better and up to their potential, which is Sweet 16, Elite 8, right? Another one, Nebraska, right? That's a team that we should be making noise with the amount of quality basketball they've been playing, right? Mentioned to Harry last week, they do not have a tournament win, so like there might be a lot of added pressure to this program come March. So we'll see how that goes. The only thing that really makes me think that they might struggle is like they live and die by the 3. So right, if they have one off game, it could get bad. We've seen Illinois and Michigan kind of take advantage of them on the interior because they like to have their opponents shoot a lot of threes. But if they kind of neglect it and really just try to go at them on the interior, it could slow them down a little bit. But, they got a bunch of good offensive guys like Sanford, Hoiberg, Mast, list goes on. And then these last two teams that I have on here are really just kind of health dependent, and it's Kansas and Gonzaga. Two teams I probably will have in the second weekend because by the time March comes, they will be fully healthy, right? Kansas, I mean, if DP's healthy, that team is dangerous, right? Like you guys talked about it, we've seen it. Staying with Gonzaga, they haven't had Braden up since the start of January. They've kind of been able to combat it a little bit with the West Coast Conference. We saw a little bit of a slip up against Portland, but I'm not going to overreact to one game. I'm sure they're going to have only, 3 or 4 losses come the end of the year. So I think if they're kind of like Houston is, if they end up being a 3-4 seed, I don't see Gonzaga falling in the first weekend. But that wraps up that tier. Do we have any feedback, any objections? Any agreements?
I agree with most of that. The Kansas I like. I think that team, again, like we talked about, Darren Peterson brings that team from a B tier team to an A tier team. He's just such a good player, and it's hard. And you saw it earlier in the season that they kind of looked like they were struggling through most of their games and kind of barely scraping out wins a little bit, and it didn't look as clean and convenient, but now with Darren Peterson, I think that this team has the aspirations, especially with this kid, that they could be going to the Final Four or something like that. I don't want to push that too far, but and I also like how you mentioned that Nebraska team that they do live and die by the three. I mean, yeah, because then again, it's any day in March. If one team just happens to be shooting lights out three and it's just not your day, you're just packing up and going home. And I feel like Nebraska's a very one-dimensional team with just kind of shooting the three ball. And if that just does not go for them that one day, then that's what happens to them, that you just get bounced from the tournament. So,
yeah, Harry.
Did you say Texas Tech in either of those or no?
I did not. They will be in my next tier.
I'm just noting it in the mind.
Okay. All right. Okay. Kind of my last, actually not really. I have a few other tiers, but this tier is going to be called the wild card tier. And yes, Texas Tech is in that tier. And it's kind of just teams that are really showing a little bit of inconsistency, right? I don't want to put all my coin on them to win a natty, things like that, right? A lot of basketball left to be played. These things can shift, but right now, this is what I see. And here are my wild cards. 1, Texas Tech, BYU, Vanderbilt, Virginia, St. John's, Alabama, and Tennessee. I think all those teams can either, make a run, right? Be one of those second weekend teams, or we could see them trip up in the first weekend, right? And lose to somebody, they shouldn't. And just don't really know what to expect. And my mind can change. I think Texas Tech had a tough time with Kansas. They were missing Christian Anderson in that game, so it is hard for them to, it might be a little bit easier for them to defend that loss a little bit, but right, that's still a loss, and we got to find ways to win. BYU, Spike touched on, right? Debansta, they kind of live and die by him a little bit, but they have other guys, and if those guys are on, then they're an issue. Vandy's kind of the definition of a wild card for me. Don't really know how they're going to play 9 in, 9 out. Same with Virginia. They play really slow, so limited possession game might go in favor of the underdog if they get a weird matchup in round 1. St. John's, you never know. You never know what you're going to get with Pitino's teams. I mean, that last year's team was abysmal, but it does look like they've turned it around a little bit. And then Bama and Tennessee's SEC. Those teams, I like good coaches. I could totally see them making noise. Just the way it looks right now. Bama struggled a little bit in the non-conference, right? Oilers were able to take them down. A few other tough games, but things like that might work in their favor down the line when they have to play other non-con teams, and they can kind of revert back to those matchups and see kind of fix things out. And the same goes for Tennessee. They were able to knock down Houston earlier. They played in that, I think it was Players Era tournament. Is that what it's called? But yeah, those are my wild cards. I'm sure you could throw, Clemson, UNC, some of the ACC teams in there. I know you guys are higher on UNC, but I'd probably throw them in there if we were just adding. But those are the couple ones I'd put down there. Also, Arkansas, too. I think Acuff's a really good one. I think that they could make noise if he plays pretty well in March as well. Good comments, concerns, questions.
I think that the Bama and the Tennessee callouts are good. I mean,
Yeah.
Bama is a very fast-paced team. And
Yeah.
again, like I was just saying about Nebraska, like it's not their night. Nebraska and Alabama really doesn't have much. They like to push the court, and they really don't have defense. So if they play a good team that can get down, make their shots, they gotta figure. And they're not making their shots that day. It's going to be a rough day for Alabama, and Tennessee too. You got a freaking washed up Big Ten player. I mean, Jacoby Gillespie is balling this year, but I don't think that he is the best player. I mean, he is averaging 18 points a game, but I still don't think that he is can lead a team
He's not
far into
Ziegler.
March. Yeah, and I mean, they do got that freshman Nate Amen, but I don't know how far. Like yeah, dog, like you just said. But I forget what game I was watching the other day. I think it was Mississippi State. Yeah, it was Mississippi State, and it was at home. I get there was no students on campus that day, but Mississippi State was hanging in there, and I do not think Mississippi State's a good team in any means, but it kind of just shows that you can't be keeping games like that close at home, especially if you're thinking about making a run into the tournament.
Yeah, it's hard for them because he's not like you think about some of these other freshmen like Devansta Peterson. He's not like a primary ball handler. Like I feel like you got to put him on the post and make him, hit some tough middies. So it might be harder for him to have consistent success. But they're a dominant rebounding team to the point where they can win some games just off grabbing second chance opportunities. So
I would also say I would add one more team to that. That's the Auburn Tigers.
Oh wow!
Come Saturday. Come Saturday, by the way.
The only reason why I
they
say that is because I think Todd Pettiford is one of the better point guards. I think he took a step back a little bit this year, but then again, March is a guards tournament. March Madness is a guards tournament, and I think the front court wins you games in March. So anything happens.
The backcourt.
Backcourt, my bad. Whatever. Yeah, I think the backcourt wins you games in March. Point guards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think those are the guys that ultimately end up winning you the basketball game. And I think that, I mean, Auburn really has next to like 8 people on the roster, I think. I don't even know, Harry. You know how many you officially have?
But we're actually not that deep this year, but of what we play like an 8-9 man rotation, probably 8-man rotation.
But I definitely think that you put them in some matchup, like I think they'll probably win the first week, and then you never know the second week, the second game. So they could be a second weekend team, but TBD, depending on their draw.
If you find Todd at some point, could you let him know to come back to the team because like this motherfucker is just nowhere to be found at the moment. So just
he's missing.
There. Yeah, he's missing big time. I mean, he took a step back and he happened to have his back to a cliff and he just
Wow.
That's where he's at right now. I think he went 2 of 11 from 3 against Tennessee and we lost. So, whatever.
Just keep shooting, kid.
Just give the rock to Keyshawn Hall and get out of the fucking way.
So you would you put them in the wild card category as Spike mentions?
I'll let him win on Saturday and then we'll talk about
reevaluate. Got it. Word.
Who they play on Saturday?
It'll be rough. Bama.
Oh, you guys are losing that shit right there. Is it at Bama?
No, it's at Auburn.
Oh, maybe you guys got a chance then.
It's a 1.5 point spread for Auburn, so whatever.
Oh, sick.
Say less, but if they want to bring in professional basketball players, they can do whatever they want. NATO. I see the way he does things around there, but it's just not the way
G League reject.
Whatever, yeah, G League dropout, as the Florida fans were saying. I agree, but I like that category. It's interesting. I almost would have if I was you. I almost would have put Nebraska in that category too.
Yeah,
You're like Alabama ideology there of like living
right.
by the three. I think Nebraska's in there, but Nebraska's also has a much better record and been playing better. So I see why you can't put them on the same level, but they could almost be in there.
Yeah, and like all those teams, I could really like mainly see winning their first round matchups, especially those first two tiers. But now I'm going to talk about the frauds, and these teams are just like they're just a few I'm going to rattle off, and I doubt they win a game. Okay, so that's my hot take. If you're looking for a hot take, here we go. Number one, Louisville. I mean, that team. We were big on them in the preseason, Harry. Right? I just don't think it's working out with the system. I think Pat Kelsey, with who also lives and dies by the three, I think they shoot it. Yeah, them and Alabama both shoot the most threes in a game, like per game, right? Yet Alabama, like Bama shoots. I don't shoot that much of a difference, but like Louisville shoots 34% from three. Not great, right? But like Bama has other things they can go to. They got some solid bigs, um, and the rebounding is really just not there for me. I mean, the gauntlet you're going to go through in the SEC versus the ACC is night and day, in my opinion. So like I feel like Bama's going to get more tests down the line than Louisville is going to get. Right? I feel like playing Florida versus playing Pitt is just so different and they might win a game. They might win their first round game if they get up to a high enough seed where they get a favorable matchup. But I don't see them beating any of the teams that I just mentioned. Really, like I think this is the first weekend exit for this team. Unfortunately, I don't know how many shooters they're going to have to rely on against some of these better teams. The next team, Kentucky. This team is just not it, fam.
I don't even know
Ortega,
if they're gonna make the tournament.
yeah, I think they're like I think Lenardi's got them where 7, yeah, 7. So like they're fringe. I mean, Ortega's got to graduate. They really don't have much going on over there. Not much to lean on, and yeah, just really don't love that team. But these next two teams, I think are getting a lot of hype right now, but I'm not sure why. I get it why, but they don't really deserve it. And that's St. Louis and Miami of Ohio. These teams are garbage. Do not fall for this trap. These teams have played a total of 2 quad 1 wins together. St. Louis, I think they played Santa Clara, who's a fringe tournament team right now for somehow. And the other one was VCU in their own conference, which whatever. Like I think they just get the benefit of the doubt because it's a road game in conference. But Miami, Ohio has not played literally anybody outside of the MAC, mostly quad 3, quad 4, right? And when you're looking for teams that are going to make noise that are not from a Power 5, I feel like you need to play teams that are good, right? So if we look back at some of these other teams that have made noise in March, and when I say made noise, at least won a game. Drake, they played 2 quad 1 teams last year. McNeese played 2 quad 1 teams last year. They played Bama, went on the road to Bama. Kind of showed them where they kind of stood in terms of the whole landscape of college basketball. Back to 2024, Oakland. Who did they play? Ohio State, Illinois, Michigan State. Sorry, Harry, but Yale, they played Gonzaga and Kansas, right? So like I don't think any of those teams won those games, but it's just kind of a test. You put your guys through and kind of see how we can win against these tough teams, right? St. Louis, right? I mean, Santa Clara, sure, they're decent, but are they really going to test you against a top, 6 seed in March? Probably not, right? I mean, that's just kind of one thing I wanted to mention. Curious your guys' thoughts on that. Maybe you are believers in St. Louis or Miami, but
Actually no, I was gonna bring up when you said mid-major. Actually, Saturday at 4 p.m., Miami of Ohio will be taking their first loss. So tune in to that.
Wow.
Against who?
Actually, against Marshall at Marshall, and it is the MAC SBC Challenge. So a thriller, with that. But yeah, they're losing. Marshall's like the only good team, like you said, that they've actually are going to play, and Marshall's not even very good. They've won 3 games in OT and 3 games by one score.
Yeah.
They are hanging on like that. But props to them. They're ranked. That's good. But yeah.
Yeah. Fun story, I guess. I'm
UT
just curious.
Martin, baby. UT Martin. I'm gonna keep saying it until the
Is
count.
that your team? Is that your
Oh, they've been
major?
my team. They've been my team. UT Martin. You look at their roster. I mean, it's just Europeans, man. They're gonna create some noise.
Dogs. Dogs. All right. Spike, anybody, any frauds you like, or do you maybe don't agree with my St. Louis and Miami hate, or
No, I feel like it's warranted. I mean, I was betting against Miami, Ohio this week, as you guys know. I said Buffalo
oh, that's right.
to win, but
Unfortunate.
I
They
mean,
covered.
they did. Well, yeah, they barely did. I mean, by a point.
No,
Still
yeah,
covered, yeah. But then again, yeah, like you can't be going into a Buffalo game and expect like. I mean, I would never be able to name you one player who ever came from Buffalo, and I don't think I've ever seen them in the tournament. So I think like you can't be winning in the MAC. MAC is the warm up half the like. I think we played Toledo earlier this year in the MAC, and
Akron,
Ac- oh yeah, no, we played Toledo too.
did we?
Yeah, but I mean, the MAC is a warm up for all these Big Ten schools and all these Power Four schools to go get them ready for the season. They are not teams that you're like, okay, let's play it when we actually want to be competitive and we're fighting for something. It is more of a game where you schedule them, you pay them $1 million to come to your campus, give them a good experience, and you send them home with a 30-point loss.
Yeah,
Like that. That's what you expect from the MAC, and that's what's going to happen there. And I mean, yes, you haven't lost the game, but you haven't really played anyone. Who like notable have they played on their schedule? I haven't been really paying attention to Miami, Ohio's.
Nobody. I think I got nobody else.
Nobody. Yeah.
I'm actually gonna read out to you because I do love UT Martin. I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm gonna read out to you the roster of UT Martin, and then you'll see why I like them. So we got leading scorer Bukmarovic from Serbia. Then we
okay.
got Dragos, that's his first name, Lungu from Romania. Then we got Matas Denusis from Lithuania, Radkovic from Serbia. Uh, this guy's name is Trinka, but there's no I, so it's Trnka. He's from Bosnia and Herzegovina. That's all you got to know. And that's like the starting five right there. And then we got Pedro Santos from Portugal. So, and then Petkovic coming off the bench. So, just letting you know, putting you on early, so you know.
I just pulled up Miami, Ohio schedule. On them, they have IU East, Trinity Christian, Maryhurst, AR Pine Bluff, UNCG, which are schools that I've never heard of before. And like, I mean, no shit. If you have, you can't. I don't know. That's something that I feel like that the AP poll voters need to fix. That wins really don't mean anything if you're not playing anyone. You know what I mean? Like if
Got it.
you're playing teams that you're better than, you're supposed to win them, but you got to at least play someone who is up to what are they, the 23rd best team in the nation? I
Yeah,
think you can go get IU, Iowa, and like Northwestern, and they will go and drop Miami, Ohio off on a given day.
yeah.
So that might be a hot take, but
No, yeah. I'm just curious to see how many people fall for that trap come March, because I think Miami is a 11 right now for Lenardi, and St. Louis is a 7. So like, could be popular picks, but
they
yeah,
got that
7.
one guy with the Rex specs on. I forget his name.
Oh,
Robbie
Avila.
Avila, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever his name is. But I'm not falling for it. But you're probably wondering, like, hey, like who does fit the bill of like some mid-major teams that have played some decent competition? And I have some names for you: Troy, USF, Akron, VCU, Winthrop, Colgate, Navy, Harvard, Yale. Again, sorry, Harry. But all those teams have played some decent competition, and they're names to watch. Maybe if we come back to this video later on, when it's all said and done, maybe one of those teams has snuck their way in and made some noise. But that's kind of one thing I noticed. I'll pull from it. I'm curious because it's hard to see which one of the mid majors will come out at the end of the year because all the conference tourneys, like the stupid format of the Sun Belt, where like what?
Like the ladder that you have to climb.
Yeah, it's insane. So like, I'm sure a lot of these names will get shifted up as the time goes on. But that's kind of the last thing I'll leave us with. Yeah, screw St. Louis.
I love it. Yeah, I like the tier list and mix it up a little bit. That's very interesting. And then yeah, we've got Spike and I have our 1 through 4 seeds. So we're gonna see another big weekend of college basketball coming up. I mean, Saturday's got some big games. I already mentioned Auburn, Alabama, but we've also just got tons of ranked matchups here in the near future. I think, like we said, Illinois and Michigan State play tomorrow night. Tomorrow being Friday. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some teams that get shaken up, and we're getting down to the home stretch here soon. Home stretch of conference play at least before we get into conference tournaments. So
Never mind. They play on Saturday, Michigan State, Illinois. I
yeah,
messed up on that one.
good.
You also got Houston BYU this weekend, which should be a good game.
Yeah.
Proving a little bit more about BYU, showing us
Saturday or
something.
Sunday?
Saturday at 10:30. So make sure you don't go to bed early.
Saturday
Before the
sounds like
next
a
day.
fire day though.
Yeah, Saturday's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be fun, and then we'll be back next week with our revised versions of these. So
Spike, final thoughts.
Also,
Who's the national champion?
national champion.
We
Am
don't
I
get
going
you
with my
again.
heart or my head?
Both.
Give me the Purdue Boilermakers. Okay. Here's the
no,
path.
no,
Here's the path. Let
no.
me lay it out for you guys. Let me lay it out.
Okay.
Purdue Boilermakers, as long as they get past the first weekend, are in the Midwest Division. You got Mackey North going to UC Center. It's going to be packed, jam-packed with the Purdue fans. It's a home field advantage no matter what.
Okay.
And then we're going to waddle our ass down to Indianapolis, and then we are going to pack that fucking bitch. Like, look at when what was it? Yeah, Purdue played Auburn in Cambridge. Like, there was probably 4 Auburn fans in that whole entire building. I think 2 of them were sitting in front of me
We
when
tried.
I was there. Yeah, I guess. But realistically, who's gonna win the Natty? I would like to say Houston out there. I think
Really?
that team's poised to go back. I think they have a chance.
It's a hot one, I think, but
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't want to say Arizona, but I haven't seen that team have any mistakes. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
then again, like the 1 seeds have been going the past few years, just right into because
Yeah. How many 1 seeds do you think get there? To Indy?
last year 3 did? Yeah.
4.
4. Oh yeah, I forgot.
Chalk
Yeah.
City, Chalk City.
So you think 3, 2, 1, 4 again?
None.
Let's go hot.
None.
0.
0.
Let's go hot. 0. Yeah, let's get it.
That's wow.
Wow.
So you don't think
Stay tuned.
you don't think it's very top heavy? You think it's like 2023?
I hope it's like whatever the fuck happened that day.
I guess if we're real like Purdue fans, we really want it to be 2023. Get
Yeah.
a little 3 seed, 4 seed champ.
Something crazy. Something crazy.
Need it.
All right.
Need
Well, good talking with you boys. That was fun. And we'll see you next week.
Roll burn.